Hey, what's up guys? Alex here with a new video, and today we're going to be comparing the Canon RF 50mm 1.2L with the Leica 50mm Summicron-F2 APO, and we're going to see which lens is the best. Okay, we're really not. It's apples to oranges here a little bit in this comparison. Obviously the Leica lens is a f2 and the Canon is a 1.2. Now usually I wouldn't do this comparison because of the fact that Leica does offer a 50 1.4 Summilux for their SL line, but the reason I'm doing this comparison is because of what Leica has said about this line of lenses. Now, the lead designer for Leica lenses, Peter Carby, has said that the SL Summicron line are the best lenses they have ever made. So, when Leica, a luxury brand, says these are the best lenses they've ever made, it catches your interest. So if you saw my previous videos, I picked up a Leica SL2, and obviously I can't just buy all the Leica lenses, so I'm being very selective, and I'm actually renting the entire Summicron line to see which ones I like best, and then I'll purchase one or maybe two of those lenses. But last weekend, I had the 50 f2, and I figured why not compare it to the Canon RF 1.2, which is my favorite lens of all time. Now again, it's apples to oranges here because the Canon is bigger, it is a 1.2, and it's also half the price of the Leica, actually a little under. So the Canon retails for $22.99 and the Leica lens retails for $49.95. Why is that? So multiple reasons. First one, Leica's just expensive. So Leica aims at the high-end market, and obviously all their products are super expensive. Now, all their products are handmade in Germany, so Leica is not a major company like Canon or Nikon. They don't have assembly lines to build their products, so every single product they have is hand assembled in Germany by their certified technicians. So that does add to the cost, right? And it does add to the brand and to the lust of the product, right? But is this lens really worth twice as much as the Canon? Let's find out. So before we look into the images, I'm gonna go ahead and put up a series of images that I've edited. There's gonna be A and B, and you guys pick which ones you like best and drop in the comments below. After I do a slideshow of the images, I'll go over the raw images. I know that that's always kind of a thing you'll wanna see, so the Canon Raw Image and the Leica Raw Image, and we'll compare both together and see what the differences are. And then we'll have a conclusion. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll the slideshow and let's get started. Okay guys, so here we go. We have the Canon on the left, the Leica on the right, and the first thing you're gonna see is the Colorscience. So the Leica's colors are just automatically so nice out of camera. This is again, DNG raw, untouched, unedited. And the Canon file is just, it's very dull. Right now, a raw file is meant to be flat, right? So you could manipulate it in post, but you can see the differences here in how they handle the color. And yeah, I mean, I think I'll just say right now in the very beginning. The Leica Colorscience, I think, blows Canon's Colorscience out the water, and you can clearly see it here. You're going to see it just continuing all these photos. So taking a look at the photos, let's go ahead and zoom in 1:1 on both images. And you can see they are both just tack sharp. Now the Leica, again, Colorscience is there. It's a little more contrasty, I want to say. Now it is 47 megapixels here versus 30, but you can easily say both are equally as sharp. Now the Leica Colorscience here just, I think, wins, right? Now what's interesting is if you look at the separation, they're both at f2, and I think the Canon has better background blur, right? It has circular bokeh balls. The Leica has a little bit oval shape here. But what's interesting is the subject is separated more in the Leica file from what I'm seeing. Let's go ahead and zoom out again. The Leica just gives you a 3D pop here that isn't as noticeable on the Canon. Now they're both at f2. Again, what's interesting is there's a more background blur on the Canon. So you can see here how like you just have tons more bokeh balls back here, and it's just a blurrier background. It's creamier, as you would say, and the Leica isn't. So it's interesting, right? Also, either the Canon isn't a true 50, it's a longer lens, or the Leica isn't a true 50 and it's a wider lens, but the Leica captures more in the image. So it's the wider of these two, and that could also have to do with the background blur. But again, you can see here the two differences, right? Let's go ahead and go to the next set of images. Okay, so here we have the Canon on the left, the Leica on the right. Same thing as before. You can see that the background blur is just more noticeable on the Canon. The Colorscience is better on the Leica. And when you zoom in to look at the sharpness, they are both just tack sharp. It is incredible. What's interesting here is the highlight roll off. So you can see how the highlights roll off my wife's nose here versus on the Canon. Now we're going to get to some more images down the road where you're going to see it more noticeable, but the Leica handles highlight roll off a little better. Again, that's the sensor of the camera, not necessarily the lens, but you can see here the differences of these two pictures. Now for this set, the Leica's on the left, Canon's on the right. You can see the color difference, the background blur. You can see circular bokeh balls on the Canon, football shaped bokeh balls on the Leica. As far as sharpness goes, they are both tack sharp. My wife's gonna hate me for zooming into her face this much on YouTube, but you know what? We're doing it for the comparison. Yeah, let's kind of continue. So here on the left, we have the Leica. On the right, we have the Canon. And what's interesting here, they both handle the sun in the background perfectly. Like, I mean, you can't ask for more. There is no chromatic aberrations happening on her hair, on the edges, on the high contrast areas. They both just did really, really well here. Really surprised at this test. Usually, like when you're pointing at the sun, one lens kind of just falls apart, and they both here just tack sharp. Both look great. And yeah, let's continue. So here we have the Canon on the left, Leica on the right. If you can't tell now by the Colorscience, the Leica is just more vivid in all the images. And again, we're seeing the same thing. I was standing in the same spot, and you can see how the Leica just captures a little bit more of the image, right? Yeah, let's continue. So here we are. If you can't tell by the colors, Leica on the left, Canon on the right. And on this image, like most images, I think the Leica just pops more. I don't know what it is, but like Risa, my wife here, just pops more on the Leica image than on the Canon image. As far as sharpness goes, they're both there, right? They're both phenomenal there. Let's go ahead and continue. For this second set of images, I matched the exact settings. So in all the photos we saw before, I wasn't matching the settings. That was actually the first time shooting those lenses. This was the third day, so I was a little more comfortable with the Leica, and I did exact same settings, right? And you can see it's the exact same thing we've been going over, right? The Canon on the right just has more background blur. The Leica on the left is just a little wider, right? And the Colorscience better on the Leica. Like the sharpness, you really can't pick a winner. I think they're both just as sharp as they can get. Like you can't want more sharpness in these two lenses. What's interesting here is if you take a look at my wife on the Canon, her face is in focus and her dress is in focus. And with the Leica, her face is tack sharp, but you start seeing the fall off in her dress, which is just very interesting because you can see how sharp the Canon is here, and then the Leica is just, it starts, the depth of field and just, yeah, it starts blurring out right here in the middle, even in the hand. So I'm not sure why that is. At f2, they should both be equally on the same plane. But yeah, this actually continues to happen on multiple images. Looking at these two, we have the Leica on the right, Canon on the left, and again, different cameras, right? So they're gonna just do different things. You can see that the Canon is a brighter image. And you can see here clearly, right, on the bokeh balls, you have rounder bokeh balls with the Canon, and you have more of the football-shaped bokeh balls with the Leica. But sharpness is just tech sharp. Now what's interesting here, this image is a perfect example of like how Leica handles the highlight roll-off so much better. Now this is on the sensor, not necessarily the lens, but same settings, and you can see how the light is just hitting my wife's face here. And on the Leica, how it just handles it so much better, right? It's just a softer roll-off of the highlights versus this harsh kind of piece of light hitting her nose right here. But overall, background blur, I would say, is greater on the Canon. It's kind of, you start seeing the same trend over and over. Here we had the sun behind Risa, and you can see how both lenses handled it. You start seeing some sun kind of stars or flares here on the Canon, and on the Leica, you do not get that. You actually get a hair of it right here on the right. Both images, I think, are solid. Both are tack sharp. No ghosting, no haze, right? They both maintain contrast. Yeah, like I think kind of like in the other images, correct me if I'm wrong, there's just more of a pop here on the Leica, and I think it could be just it's more contrasty, right? There is, I think, a difference in the pop with the Leica images. I wanted to use this background to point out the bokeh balls, and yeah, you can see here Canon on the left, Leica on the right, and if you zoom in, they are both insanely sharp. Bokeh balls are better on the Canon. One thing to point out on the Canon, when you stop it down to 1.2, the bokeh balls pretty much look the same like the Leica. So I'm pretty sure if the Leica was at 2.8, you'd have rounder bokeh balls, but I mean, who's shooting that, right? You want to shoot these lenses wide open. And let's see here if we have the same effect on the dress. Yeah, same thing here. So you can see my wife's face is in focus, and in the Canon, her dress is still in focus. You can still see the buttons. And you can start seeing here in the Leica how it starts falling out of focus already. Very, very interesting. If you know why that is, let me know in the comments below. From my understanding, f2 is f2, so it should be the same kind of focal plane. So it's very interesting that the Leica lens does that. I'm curious to know why. So if you know, please let me know in the comments below. Very, very interesting. And for the last image, here we are. Again, same story, guys. Like, you have better background blur on the Canon. You have, I should say, more background blur. Both equally tack sharp. I like the way the Leica handles the colors better. Yeah, so there you go. Let's go ahead and go over our final thoughts. Okay, so there you have it. What did you think? Now, this is a tough one because at $22.99, it's easy to say that Canon is a clear winner, right? It's cheaper. It goes down to 1.2. And in the areas where it lacks, so for example, some of that 3D pop, some of that contrast, even though it's small, you can always add in post, right? So I think the Canon here is clearly the easier, better buy. The Leica does have obviously some cool advantages, right? It does have that 3D pop. You just can't, I can't put a finger on it, right? It is smaller, it is lighter, and obviously you can't put this Canon lens on the Leica body, right? So if you're buying the Leica SL2, what a perfect match. So again, like I said in the very beginning of this video, apples to oranges comparison, but you can start seeing that as you get more expensive, you don't always get massive leaps in quality, right? So I forget what that law or the rule is called, right? So when you buy like a $100 Nifty 50 and you upgrade to the 51.4, there's a huge difference, right? When you upgrade from the 51.4 to the 51.2, there's a difference, but it's smaller, right? And here with the RF, I'm not even sure if you can say there's a huge jump in quality, right? The Leica lens is amazing, but the Canon just, it hangs in there. And in some areas, it's better at half the cost. So not to bash any of the lenses, because I absolutely love this Canon lens, and I'm absolutely gonna pick up one of the Leica Summicron lenses for the Leica SL2. So I just thought it'd be fun. Let me know in the comments below, what did you think? I already have an idea what most of you are gonna say, but I still wanna see it. And as always, please like this video, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one, guys. Peace.